So, hello everybody. This is a Mandelbrot, and this is only a very simple equation, like that. And with this simple equation, you get a whole world. And that's the beginning of my talk. So, my name is Médéric Degoy. You can say Degoy, I don't care. I'm the creator of BioCoherence, amongst many things, and I'm a long-time friend of Dan and admirer of his work. And what I'm about to show you today was absolutely not what I planned to show you in the beginning of the week. Last year I presented some works I did with BioCoherence, and I did the first unveil thanks to you. And since 1 year, we had a great community building around BioCoherence. But I wanted to go deeper into science for this talk and present you with some ideas I have to understand how our reality works. So I decided more or less to start BioCoherence Research. And BioCoherence Research is a vision for now, okay? It doesn't formally exist, it's just something around BioCoherence. But if this vision comes to fruition at some point, I'd like to formally invite Dan to be the president of this research institute. So you don't have to say yes or no right now, because it's only a vision. But I'd like you to say yes before your Nobel Prize, because after your Nobel Prize, it will become complicated to reach you. So okay, so theory and validation. Of course, we are in the medical field, so we need validation. And my goal with BioCoherence is that it can become a platform that every professional or individual in the world can use, grounded in science. So that's for another part, because validation in medical settings takes a long time. So the first time would be theory. And for theory, I will introduce to you a general overview of Manifold 12, which is the paper I'm working on. The geometry of mind and matter. You can actually find it on internet. I've just pre-published it, so it has a DOI. I think the DOI is not yet active. It will be active tomorrow. So in the meantime, you can go to biocoherence.net/research and read this little 50-page paper that is here, and that I'm happy to share with you today. So it doesn't have a lot of equations, because it's more paper bridging things. I'm more of a generalist than a specialist. So my goal is to create bridges between things that normally don't bridge together. And that's what I'm about to do in the coming hour with you. So let's have a little ambition and explain reality. I mean, it's Sunday, right? Yeah. Perfect thing to do. So if you connect on biocoherence.net/research, and you will go to Zenodo, where the preprint will be live tomorrow. It will probably be updated, because it keeps boiling new ideas in my head. So this is version 1, and it will be updated before I really submit it to journals. So what's inside? Of course, Dan's work. So Fractal gut, and all the work that you did on the Elphi spirals and so on, is part of this general view, okay? But there's more. So you know maybe what I did on Elphi.link, and it's not a .com or anything, it's a .link, and you will understand why. On Elphi, we currently have 77 different matches of integer Elphi values matching real life values. And I assume you all know the Elphi equation that has been designed by Dan, which is Planck length and Planck time times integer powers of phi. And at these different points, we find a lot of natural length or durations in the universe, which led to your fractal gut. Okay? But for me, it comes with many different perspectives. For instance, I was crazy enough to write 200 pages of Alexandrines as a science fiction book of poetry in 2009, which is here. and which I encourage you to buy because it's in French and you can boast with your friends to say, hey, I'm reading super pointy French science fiction poetry. And even if you don't understand the word, it will be a worthy addition to your bookshelf. So I have some. After that, of course, I started researching on biocoherence, and it has been a long run. Since 2011, I started different projects that finally became biocoherence in 2024. When you first, I think I've shown you the first drafts in 23, and you said, "Oh, maybe you should come and present it." And thanks to you, it was my real step in the real world. Let's to say, yes, yes.
Last year in the conference.
So again, my gratitude to Dan is manifold. Biocoherence is a lot of things. So you do some analysis, you do some reharmonizations. So we have a full spectrum body electrical activity analysis and live biofeedback. We have the harmonic boosts that are live audio frequencies, live generated for you. We have the personal guide, which are guided meditations with thousands of snippets that we assemble for your specific use case at the moment when you need it. And we now have the harmonizer, which is a new device that we launched this week, which is a TENS device that is driven in real time by biocoherence, including our own frequencies and so on, that are made to be synergetic with the audio frequencies and the personal guide. So it's another way to address the body and so on. And you will see at the end of the presentation, if I speedrun it, how all of this interacts. And biocoherence is meant to be a platform. So it's already available on 6 different platforms. So you can run it on a smartphone, on any kind of computer, tablets. It's also open because we have API, and it's an open platform where you can develop new modules. And it's open for research too. And we have amazing field results. So right now we don't have medical studies, but we have really outstanding testimonials. What else did I do? I launched a publishing company, which is a very good way to lose money and spend a lot of time. So if you have too much money and too much time at some point, I encourage you to create a publishing company. But in the meantime, I translated and published in French guys like Thomas Campbell, who wrote my big two, Rizwan Virk, who works on virtual reality, Gerald Pollack, who wrote The Fourth State of Water, so I'm his French publisher, Howard Bloom, that you maybe know for the many interesting books, Christopher Bach, who is a very interesting guy, Caroline McMakin, who developed FSM, Christine Degoy, who I'm lucky enough to be the husband, Dame Zina, who is my daughter. So I started also a movie, which is called In Reality, and that bridges this talk today, because this research of what is reality is something that I started, well, this movie I started in 2012, and it's not yet released because it's a lot of work to make sense of all this together, and I felt something was still missing to release it. So maybe I'm dumb and I should have released the interviews on the flow. I released a few, but I have like 44 different very interesting people, including, of course, Dan. So at some point, I will release it. And I'm doing music with my daughter, who is called Dame Zina. We have made, I don't know, 100 songs that you can listen on Spotify if you want. It's like very creative electro rock, so you might like it or not, I don't know. She also writes books, and those books are available. It's children's book, and it's available on our publishing company. But she's currently working on a new project which is Miracle Oracle. And this project we spoke about a few days ago because we are launching a new section in biocoherence which is called Adventures. And with these adventures, you will get personal meditations that can connect you in a journey in the solar system, for instance, or in her case, that will connect you with beings from other species like fairies or centaurs, or she has 44 different species like that they interviewed and asked how they could help humans in certain specific situations. So we are bridging this gap between healing and spirituality with biocoherence. So she's part of the adventure. And we also have another daughter which is called Isis. And Isis is doing amazing things, and we are developing a game around biocoherence, which will be what I called heal to play. Okay, so you play a game, and in the meantime, it happens that you are healing something. So it's a new modality of envisioning how you can go forward in life when you find some blockages. And I find it's very interesting for generations of people that really are into gaming and really engage with a lot of things like that. So she developed some prototypes of games. And the idea is that, for instance, you could move into a kind of setting like that and have some quest to fill, and this quest will reconnect things inside you because you will be explained what happens in your body while you are doing it in the game. So I think it might be very powerful. It will take some time too. And Christine. So Christine started writing a first book, which is called 33 Treasures, which is only printed in French, but I think is available in English in PDF. So that was 2018. That we are now incorporating into BioCoherence. It has an accompanying 33 meditation book, but more to the point, she created Prology, which is an entire system based on systems theory to understand how the human body and mind works, and this is fundamental to what we did into BioCoherence. So Prology is available in English, and it is a very important cornerstone of BioCoherence. She is also a very accomplished artist, and she recently did a very nice show near Perpignan, and she actually does commissions with paintings that are drawn according to your soul. So if you want a specific painting in any size, you can just have a session with Christine, and you will have a painting that is made especially for you, for what you want to achieve at this moment. So she's here. So that was the family.
She's very clairvoyant also, and sees elementals, and she's a great healer with the Therify, many things.
Yes. And we have a last child who is called Apollinaire, but he's 15, so we are about to see what he will become.
Prodigy, though, very
So, introducing Manifold 12, the geometry of mind and matter. So that was just to give you a general overview of the different paths that led us to make this crazy thing today, which is a theory of everything, somehow. So let's start with why 12 dimensions. Reality has more layers than 3D. It's obvious that we have consciousness, we have thoughts, and we have many things more. So we will explore 12 dimensions. If you want to picture how 12 dimensions could work, imagine a video game. So you have a 3D space, that is the map. So X, Y, Z, 3 coordinates. You have 3D time, and that is something that I will introduce. 3D time is the story with multiple levels of quests. So you have many things to do in the game, and it has different aspects, so different dimensions. When I speak about dimensions, I mean mathematical dimensions. It means orthogonality, so real dimensions. Okay. Then we have scale. So for the physical part, it's the screen size. So you can enlarge the screen or look at very details or look at the whole map. Okay, so this is Elphi. The 3D time are C, E, and G. Okay, and then you have the thought. That's hard for me. Thought. Okay, sorry. Thought space, and thought space. You have a 3D thought space, which are your focus. A, H. Okay. Then you have thought time, which is your global experience, which is D, and thought scale, which is your in-game awareness, which is another Elphi, but Elphi T. And I will detail all of that. And then I will go rather quickly on the science side. If you are more interested in the science, the paper here, I will more talk about the consequences for you. So let's jump through the foundations. I skipped reference frames because I don't have time. So ER, 12 dimensions, quantization, Elphi. ER is the energy resistance principle. So to be quick, energy and information flow encounter resistive barriers. So a barrier is something like the outer shell of a cell, or your body, or your energetic field. All of these are barriers, and to overcome these barriers, you need some energy. And the energy resistance is, for living things, the same as resistance in electricity. So it's a quite simple equation, energy potential and energy flow rate. It differs a little bit because flow rate is squared, so it gives some interesting aspects. I won't dig into it. So it defines the delay and maximum propagation velocity of energy of information transfer within a medium. Also known as resistance, determines how rapidly coherence can reorganize across scales. If you're lost in my mind, I've always put some very nice thing on the side. So just let your spirit wander and look at the nice things. This is because we have just had lunch and so on. This I won't be too technical. Okay, these are cymatics, bubble cymatics. So it's soap bubbles put on a speaker and projected with light, and specific frequencies do this kind of things that very, very suspiciously look like living things, okay? So if you want to draw parallels between what frequency can do and what happens in your body, cymatics is an interesting thing.
I feel like it's exploding. I don't care for that at all.
So I'm generating the energy resistance principle that was made for only biology. Very recently, the paper is like 2 weeks old, I think. So it's boiling since long, but it's published now. And I've generalized to the multidimensional quantized manifold that I will propose. So it will cover barrier crossing, resonance reduction, discrete dynamics. That's in the paper. If I have more time, I will maybe go back, but I have like 50 slides, so I have to speed run it. So LFE. LFE is a logarithmic scalar axis linking Planck scale until units to planetary and cosmic scales. I think everybody is up to the LFE frequency that is made by Dan Winter. So the frequency looks like that. It's very simple. LFE of value n is Planck length times phi to the power of n. Phi is the golden ratio, and n is actually a real number, not only integers, and I will go back to that later. I will go back to it now. I call it quasi-quantized, which is a neologism. It means there is a continuous axis of scale. Of course, you can scale continuously like that, but integer values have maximum resonance. And if you want to visualize it, ta-da! This is a spiral, but you see at every integer values, you have more energy somehow. So this spirals up to infinity, and this is not to scale of the LFE, or you can say it's a logarithmic value. But all values can exist, but the values at integer values have more power. So somehow life should organize around these wells. Yeah. So this concept of well is very important, energetic well.
Standing.
Sorry?
Standing.
No, not standing wave, wells.
The well is where
holes.
the wave is stored at a node.
Yeah. Also very important, it's environmentally constrained. It means integer resonances define in the ideal coherence attractors. Okay, so it's an attractor, but it means that natural values that we measure in life can be outside the exact integer value or can have a very small deviation because there are other attractors. So imagine you are on the bottom of a well. This is the integer value, but you have something that pushes, like wind, for instance, and so your real value will be a little bit on the side because there are other constraints. Anyway, you get this very nice spiral where I put some interesting values. So it goes from the very small Planck length, and you go to the unit hydrogen radius, which is your last paper with the super gut. You get ATP at max energy, you get the DNA turns, you get the myelin sheet thickness, which is very important because it seems that myelin acts as a capacitor around neurons, electrical capacitor. So you need to have precise value to maximize this energy.
And that's a barrier too.
Yeah, it's a real capacitor. Yeah. You get microtubules resonance values, you get photosynthesis, you get DNA resonance, human cell resonances, Schumann Earth frequencies, speed of light, Earth, perihelion and aphelion, which is the distance to sun, And you go up to the galactic year and galactic plane crossing and so on. So this is only a few, but there are more on Elphi. Let's address the heavy thing, the physical manifold. Space, time, and scale.
Folded man.
Okay, so what are space-time dimensions? We have 7 space-time dimensions. 3 spatial, so X, Y, Z. Up, down, left, right, forward, back. We have 3 temporal, thanks. C, E, G. So one temporal dimension is causality, entropy, arrow of time, record of shared events, and decision outcomes. So this is the shared history, the things that you cannot move in history because it has been recorded somehow in the Akashic field, or you call it as you want. The second arrow of time is experience, awareness, inner rhythm of integration and perception. So this is your inner time, and that's why sometimes you say, oh, this conference is going very fast, or oh, this conference lasts 3 hours. You tell me at the end. The third one is agency, and I would love to have such a word in French because agency is such a marvelous word. Forward projection of will, purpose, and decision. Okay, so this is a third world, a third temporal axis, and this, I stress, these axes are orthogonal mathematically. It means that they are not, there are different dimensions. And the last one is, of course, our beloved Elphi scalar dimension, which you can call nature's universal ruler. And it tells you the global frame of reference or the zoom lens, at what size, at what zoom you are looking at something, okay? So what do you get with space-time dimensions? You get pixels. And these pixels are like pixels in the screen of our reality. So the 7 physical dimensions are quantized. It means that if you look with a microscope on your phone screen, you will get this. And if you look with a very, very super strong microscope to reality, you will get Planck pixels, which I just introduced you as pixels. Pixels. How nice.
The real pixels of life.
Yes. So the 7 physical dimensions are quantized. The pixel size is, of course, the Planck length. The temporal pixel is, of course, the Planck time. Elphi is quasi-quantized because it allows for a continuous zoom, but it has so much power at integer values that we could almost call it quantized. Of course, the key is that crossing pixels requires energy, and that's one of the things that will allow us to derive all physical properties from that, and I'm not the one who did it, okay? If you figure a ball bouncing on bumping ground, if you have a sufficient push, so sufficient momentum, the ball will go straight forward, okay? But nonetheless, each time it will use a little bit of energy. At the maximum velocity, meaning light speed, it will just rush through everything and not lose velocity because it will just go over it, okay? So what gives us energy resistance in space? And by the way, this is a chicken embryo, and this is the chicken embryo magnetic field. Nice image. So we get biology, light speed, resonance. Energy resistance is a universal modulator of transitions across boundaries, okay? Many studies have already been done on that I reference in my paper. So momentum allows light to travel straight. Speed limit arises naturally because of these bumps. And that's it. What gives us ER in time? Time isn't just linear. It's a 3D space of possibilities, and paths are unique in that 3D space. So if you imagine that time is a space, our own wandering in time is the 1D path that we do in this space. Exactly that our physical history is our 1D path, one-dimensional path in physical 3D, okay? So I can say I'm here, and now I can say I'm here, and that draws a one-dimensional path. And I go here, and this one-dimensional path takes a turn. But at the end, it's only one dimension, okay? Here in time correspond to transforming potential futures into realized events. So that's why you move through agency time. Agency acts as the momentum term that overcomes temporal here. So the more agency you have in life, the more easy it is for you to manifest. We are going to manifestations. Agency that causes temporal hills, delay occur naturally due to error. And so this is also a universal modulator of transition between events.
I think it'd be good to say a little bit more on agency, a causal agent of, so the meaning of agency here is...
Agency is the will to materialize your desires.
Yeah, or responsibility for, or ability to originate. Or
Yes, yeah. Agency is a very nice word.
Yeah.
So as you can see, different frequency resonances produce different effects, but it doesn't produce it immediately. He has to make some push, and after a few push, the resonance will start. And that's resonance is resistance in time too. You also get L feelings. And for instance, in this study, you can just ask two people to sync in resonance love to each other, and you can measure that some points in an MRI are vibrating together, meaning that things happening in the thought space are transposing into our material reality through something, probably microtubules. Okay, but anyway, there are links, and these links for me are mediated by L feelings. So crossing scales, and of course fractality, done again, and of course energy implodes recursively at LV integers. So you can think it's something like a tuned radio. If you are on the good frequency, you will get the message. If you are not on the good frequency, you will get another message or no message at all. Okay. So that was the speed run into materiality. Let's go to the 5 dimension of thoughts. Thought space and awareness. So what are our 5 dimensions of thought? Just let me introduce you to something very extraordinary. What do you think it is? And people having already shown my former presentation, don't say. If you want a clue, this is Earth to scale. Okay, so this is a solar flare. This is a solar flare. A solar flare. Yeah. Yeah, so this is, doesn't it look like a living being?
It does.
I mean, it does. So I think this is a creature from the sun.
Yeah.
Made of energy, probably, a lot of energy.
Sure.
And probably a body, and so on, and so on.
Where's the viewpoint of that? Where's that picture from?
From Earth?
From Earth, so you can, it's like on top of the sun. You
Yeah,
can
yeah, sure.
zoom in that-
Yeah. Yeah, we have good, we have,
Surface of the sun.
we have very nice
That's what I'm
tools.
saying, how could you look from the surface?
Because humanity has built some very cool tools.
Well, during queer eclipses.
Okay, so 3 spatial dimensions. You will like it. A, E, H. A, I, H. Okay, sorry. Attention, present focus. Intention, near future direction. Horizon, long-term vision. Then we have one-time dimension, which is D, which is awareness depth. So history tree of your decision and your future tree of possibilities. You are navigating in your thoughts, and you have a past and a future, and you can move along this line. But it's only one line, okay? And the last one is one scalar dimension, which is again LPT, so Phi-T, which is awareness breadth. Breadth. How do you say that? Breadth, okay, not bad. So it's the global frame of reference or the zoom lens in your eyes. What do we get again? Pixels. The 5 third dimensions are quantized too. What is the pixel size? I'm asking you, good question. I don't know. But I designed some experiments to try and pinpoint it, based on Planck's experiments to pinpoint the pixel size in material reality. Phi is still quasi-quantized, so we can still move in a continuous zoom. And of course, crossing pixels still requires energy, and this is really key. Changing south or changing path requires energy from you, okay? I don't think it's new, but it's formalized. So what is energy resistance in thoughts? Oh, I really have to work this one. Mental momentum and resistance. Cognitive friction, mental amplitudes, aligned focus, amplified momentums evolve non-linearly with flow, forming transient attractors. So again, we have attractors. And what is an attractor? You see this drawing, which is 4 attractors. And these 4 attractors are somehow bound together, but have different properties. And it makes a very nice drawing at the end, okay? So it's just a very simple math equation. And the end results will vary widely according to the different initial data sets. It's the same with pendulums. You can have, it's chaos theory. You can have 3 pendulums with different initial sets and you get wildly different results. So this all boils down to resistance to microscopic changes. I have a lot of text that I won't read. So energy resistance in TARC. High mental energy resistance leads to anxiety, distraction, fixation, of course. Low mental energy resistance leads to flow states. Energy resistance constrains the rate of intentional propagation, the velocity of integration of thought vectors across the intention, attention, horizon triad of thought space. So you need energy to focus these different things into your thinking space, okay? I will come back a little bit on that later. Because, well, okay, I have to, I think I'll cover it later, okay. One of the interesting things we get is cognitive time crystals. So this is a real picture of a real time crystal that has been taken maybe 1 month or 2 ago. This is the first time ever humanity has been able to create and record a time crystal. What is a time crystal? It's, okay, what is a crystal? A crystal is a self-repeating structure that grows with the same rule sets into an object. A time crystal is the same thing, but in time. It means that there is no energy input or output in this thing. It just self-changes with a period in time. I posit that we have cognitive time crystals that are periodic self-sustaining oscillations in thought space that resist decoherence. And you could call that fixed ideas, you know, things that you cannot break, schemes that you cannot break because you are always coming to the same thing and because it has built something that moves in times and comes again and again and again in your fixations. So these recurring thought patterns, there are recurring thought patterns that preserve internal symmetry and energy, so self-reinforcing ideas and habits. So as I said, you have a one-dimension life path in a 3D thought space. And mathematically, momentum is a very simple formula. Don't be scared. Or look at the embryo. It's an embryo, again. And don't look at the mathematical equation. M is magnitude, so focus strength. A is the attention vector, so immediate direction. E is the intention vector for near term. And H is the horizon vector, which is long-term thinking. Again, it's not 3 scales of the same direction. It's really 3 different ways of thinking. So you can focus at the same time on something long-term and something immediate and so on. So how do you steer this 1D life path, okay, in your thought space, not in the physical space? Well, if this is a vector. So this is the resultant of all your 3D solve intentions, attentions, horizon. And you have something here that is akin to the wheel of a drive, okay? So maybe your car can only have a very short braking radius, or maybe it can have a very long braking radius. And it will change the realm of possibilities for you to change direction into this 3D space. So you are a car in the highway, okay? And you are directed by your intention, attention, horizon towards something. And at one point, you want to shift this. To shift this, you need energy because of energy resistance. And these different parameters are computed in BioCoherence as the petal flowers, which are the resultant of energy and agitation, which is entropy, okay? So your cone of expanded possibilities will widen with high energy and low entropy, or will shorten with high entropy, and this speed will be akin to energy. So, for instance, it's very good to have a large energy cone, but if you are on the highway and you can just give a very, very big wheel turn, you will just capsize, or you will just have an accident, okay? So you have to balance your direction changes and your inner energy, and that's what we do with BioCoherence, okay? So energy agitation and the 9 petal frameworks, cone of possibilities and vector shifts. Energy and entropy can be mapped to the vector cone depth and radius.
What are the 9 petals?
I will come to it in BioCoherence, maybe. I don't really intend to show BioCoherence because we have very experienced BioCoherence users in the room, and I only have 1 hour. So I will show you later. Okay, I have 20 minutes left, I think.
Causal chain.
Materialization, so manifestation, what is that? Manifestation occurs by traversing the 1D thought path and fixing points through decisions, collapsing possibilities into reality. So, wave collapse function, okay? Manifestation. This links to space via threads and healthy resonances, cascading cognitive choices across scales, sometimes with delays from ER. It means that you are doing some manifestation and you are focusing on getting something and you are doing everything you can, and it will not just pop up in instant for you because there are a lot of resistance coming from many sides. So you also have to work on these different resistance and overcome them. And again, BioCoherence will help. So a quick recap. We have 12 dimensions, mathematically. We have energy resistance. We have healthy resonance. We have consciousness evolution. We have geometry. And all of this connects physics, biology, and phenomenology. So I think it would be fair to call it a theory of everything. And now, candies! Okay, first one. Very nice for you. Mentally imaging muscle contractions increase strength by 35% without physical exercise. Yes, that's so good to hear.
Just imagine your muscle.
Yes,
contracting,
yeah,
you don't
yeah.
have to contract it.
Yeah, exactly. You just meditate and you imagine doing sports and you will get increased strength by 35%.
Your imagination is clear enough.
Yes.
It takes a lot of thought.
Yeah, but do you prefer going to the gym and doing the actual work? It depends.
Do isometric.
No, it's a very interesting connection because you have to do the work in your head, or you have to do the work in physical, the gym and so on, and both will connect. So that's very interesting. Another candy. What is life? I come up with a new definition of life. So again, this is frequencies on a medium, okay? And this is a spine in an embryo growing nerve cells. What is life? I define life as self-replicating complex systems that construct increasingly sophisticated structures to achieve new emergent properties. Does that make sense? Emergent properties, just a quick word on this. It comes from system theory. When you assemble enough of one brick, you get a complex system made of this brick with properties that cannot be guessed from the properties of the brick. Okay? So for instance, you have Legos. It's only plastic bricks, but you assemble them into a Lego car, and then you can start racing with the car. That's an emergent property that you cannot guess if you only look at the Lego pieces. Okay? Same with us. You get bacteria that merge with mitochondria and that decide to work together and to build a tower of 1,000 million and billions of cells, and suddenly you get politics, arts, history, language. That cannot be guessed from the properties of one cell alone. Okay? So emergent properties, I think, is one of the key of how life constructs increasingly sophisticated structures and achieves things that were impossible before.
And today, emergent gravity is a buzzword as well.
Yes.
It emerges from the system. It just, you can't imagine, you got an electric field. How could gravity emerge? Well,
Yeah.
it does. It implodes.
Okay, so same emergent forces, similar principle govern matter and thought. So gravity from tiny Planck holes or electrical properties. Emotional coherence that you can call love, okay, which is the same as gravity. Love via resonance. And very interesting, matching attention, intention, horizon vectors. It means that you fall in love with people that have the same kind of vector into thought space, okay? Intention, attention, horizon, and speed. Okay? That's what makes you fall in love with someone. And MEMS, which are self-replicating thought life, and for instance, this one, which maybe is appropriate, I don't know. This is a MEM. So it means that it has its own life, it replicates by itself because it has such an attractive power. Okay? Another candy, let's go beyond materialism and idealism. So one very clever guy said consciousness is an emergent property of matter. Another very intelligent guy said matter is a projection of consciousness.
They are still fighting.
Yeah, in the Manifold 12 framework, this duality dissolves. Consciousness and matter are understood as co-emergent harmonics of the same quantized coherence field. Biological and cognitive processes unfold as reciprocal resonances within a single manifold. The body structures consciousness through physical constraints, while consciousness informs the body through an energetic regulation and intent. Each organizes the other through continuous minimization of energy resistance.
Maybe you want to show us what you just read.
No, I don't, because it's in my notes.
Oh, I see.
But it's here. Okay? So let's just reconcile these two sides. Another candy is a 12-dimensional body. So let's link epistemology to ontology. Boom! This is your body. So this is the ontological manifestation of coherence, a living 12-dimension geometry where thoughts and matter become indistinguishable facets of the same quantized field. It means that what I called a 12-dimensional body is not an image. It's not symbolic. It's structural. Your body is actually in 12 dimensions in this model. The interface of the manifold is the point of contact between the measurable and the meaningful. So, what do we get from this? Coherent, yes, please?
I like it that you used E8 kind of to model that. It's a superset of the star mother, all based on golden ratio.
Yes.
And it's a shadow of the principle of all the subatomic particles zoo.
Yes, and I have to say this is a shadow of a 12-dimensional square, cube. This is the shadow on 2 dimensions. So of course at the end it looks like a mandala, but in reality it's a bit more complicated.
Cube to make the dodec, and then you have star mother. Well, if you rotate it again.
I'll show that later. So coherence is not equilibrium. Coherence is communication. Okay, so if you break communication, you break coherence. So communication is primordial. So you need resonance links. You need phase synchronization between structures, dynamic couplings that allow energy and information to circulate across physiological and cognitive subsystems. You need a path of reduced energy resistance, a channel through which coherence propagates and regulation self-organizes. So that's life, self-organization. Cross-scale negentropy, of course. Cross-scale transducers, bridging physical, biological, and mental strata through harmonic matching of frequency ratios, aka ELFIs. All of this reveal coherence not as a static equilibrium, but as a living network of energy exchange, where optimization of resonance continuously aligns systems towards collective stability. So I will give you a few conclusions. Evolution is resonant convergence. It is the progressive tuning of structures to maximize information flow and minimize resistance across dimensions. But also, evolution is orchestration. And I will give you some quotes. When frequencies align, information becomes geometry. And resonance is the hidden symmetry of nature, where energy finds the shortest path to meaning. And these quotes are for me, so you are free to use them.
Very deep.
That was famous.
So notable quotes.
Exactly. So now I will invite you to a little exercise, and you can maybe briefly look at the screen and then close your eyes. So we will start in one dimension. So one dimension is a line. So you can only live on this line. And if you meet someone, you cannot go over them. So you have your space, they have their space, impossible to cross. So picture yourself on this line. You are just a dot, and you can move, but you cannot cross anyone. And now we will expand to 2 dimensions. And suddenly you are on a plane. Okay? This is a sheet of paper, and so you can go around people and so on, but you are still very limited. And if you take this plane and you pull it orthogonally, you get, of course, a cube. So 3 dimensions, easy to imagine. And it will become a little bit more complicated. You go to 4 dimensions, it means that you see this cube and you try to pull every point of this cube in an orthogonal dimension. So you can imagine it as time, for instance, which could be another dimension, and you can imagine this cube pulsating like that. It would more or less make the image of another dimension. And if you want to continue, it becomes, of course, increasingly complicated. You get 5 dimensions, 6, 7. Each time you get a new way of adding an orthogonal dimensions to it. 8, 9, 10 dimensions, 11, and finally our 12-dimension cube. And I'm happy to show you a picture of you in 12 dimensions. Okay, so what do you think? I have some very interesting annexes, but if you have anything to say, or if you want to say anything about BioCoherence, or
Well,
yeah.
I would like to say,
Because just before you speak, this is the basis of everything that I linked together in BioCoherence. So to understand how we link what happens in the mind, what happens in the body, and so on, this is more or less in this framework. So yes, please.
so for some of you that have had a scan with me, you know that I go to drives. I show personality and chakras and stuff. But for me, personally, and I'm just going to use one, and in the BioCoherence talk that I gave with Jack Doe, anyway. So there's hopeful and hopelessness, Jack Doe. Anyway, so I decided to do just isolate that and make a structure and play it and get the live results. So what am I doing? Actually, I added hopelessness. That was the big bar at the bottom. Well, why would you add hope? Because it's not that you're adding energy, you are giving it supplying a frequency to bring it back into balance, because hopeful and hopelessness are 2 sides of a coin. And just to see if that works, a live test, it worked. Yeah, I mean, it didn't bring it down all the way, but it greatly reduced it. Because there are other triggers involved. There were 8 resonances, so I had to take care of more than just one. But that was everything either sent to it or received from it. That's why I picked that point.
Because in BioCoherence, every biomarker has links. So you can, for instance, this is the emotions page, so drives, and every drive can be mapped and linked to other drives via resonance links, but also to organs or meridian points or meridians and so on. I don't know, you want to say a word, TJ?
Yeah, well, we've had a good, we've applied it in many ways to many different people, and there's so many different ways that it's relaying the information. So I like to go through and I wait until I can feel the person resonating with that. So there's enough parts where it can speak to everybody, like the drives, and speak to most people. If I can't get through there, I start to get into that, and then the person can't deny that. Like, whoa, it's like reading my mind. These are things that other things don't do. Nothing else really brings it into words where you're describing these inner energies. And we've gone for where we've even had at one of the fairs, one of my friends brought their son, who is an autistic person, and because there's so much going around, somehow he settled where we were, like what you were saying with when you play the frequencies and there's all this chaos in a room. Basically, we got him to sit long enough in order to do a scan, which he normally wouldn't do, where the mother was like, oh my gosh, he sat through a whole scan for 2 minutes to get this in there. And then she reported that usually he wouldn't make it through the night, like where they'd hear yelling or whatever else, and being able to write these frequencies specifically for him, she said that was the first time that he was actually calm through the night and noticed a definite change in behavior. And that is coming from somewhere where they've been through it all, where they have to have somebody living with them that nothing else could touch this. And it was nice to have a tool that could.
And he started communicating after that.
Yeah, that's what they're. Yeah, we're trying to get her to do a video on that, but he's communicating.
And maybe Steve, you want to just explain the tick story because it's so fun.
So living in the woods in Wisconsin, like I do, there's a lot of deer ticks, and so I take my dog on a run, and I brought him back one time, and I decided I'm going to try the deer tick frequency, and I played it and literally watched 11 deer ticks crawling off to get away. And my daughter's dog at her mom's house, there was a deer tick right in the corner of the eye, and I was just about to get a tweezers and try to, right next to the dog's eye. And I'm like, I'm going to try to play the frequency and just see, right? I played it, it detached, and again was trying to go. And the thing I think that the aha moment that I had even before the deer ticks, my daughter's 10, and I asked her, I'm like, I'm going to play a frequency. I didn't tell her what it was, and I said, just please sit there for a few moments and then tell me if you feel anything in your body. And she sat there for a few moments, and she goes, I feel it right here. And I was playing the kidney frequency, and it was that moment that it was like, yes, this works.
Thank you.
When you think about the epileptic, I have my nephew is reasonably high functioning autism, and he can sit there and he gets into his games, but he doesn't talk much at all. I mean, he communicates. He communicates, but I was playing a basic program that Christine made. It's called Emotional Relaxation. And I had it on Patrick's plasma-fired globes, and I was just playing it in the room. And all of a sudden, he's playing the games, and he stops, and he says, I talked to William F. Boeing, and we talked about airplanes. And so, wow, okay, so we're sitting, in the room, and this was at dinner, so he was actually away from this computer game. And so I asked him, well, are you still in communication with William Boeing's now? Well, he's the founder of Boeing's. He's passed away. He says, no, but I said, well, what did he look like? Well, he was wearing a suit and a tie, and he actually said suit and tie. And it was him in communication, like telepathy tapes. I mean, it's really, he has gifts that for him, I believe he's up here.
But what you mean is that he opened thanks to the frequency.
Biocoherence frequencies opened him up or gave him an
Coherence.
anchor point to
Yeah.
become coherent in our reality, not his reality, in our reality.
Yeah, and that's because thanks to healthy values and these specific frequencies that we compute, we can bridge links between things that are broken somehow, and we can recreate this coherence that is communication. Okay, so somehow we are restoring communication.
Not coherence communication.
Yeah.
Dr. Ralph wanted to see.
Yes.
Yeah, question to the bigger picture. So there is a lot of mixing up between dimension and density and higher vibration. Maybe
Yeah.
you can say a few words about that.
I don't understand the question.
Well,
So.
you moved us through the dimensions. So
Yes, but I have only 1 hour, so I can give you the paper if you want, which is much more detailed. I will maybe give you a little bit more Candice in the annexes if I have still a few minutes. But please, yeah.
Dimension is at the higher vibration. Kind of the overlaying of rotations is the next vibration. Well, Tufan, how are we doing time-wise?
I think we have a couple more minutes.
Okay, that's good because it's very interesting. So let's start with polar bears.
Lots of them running around.
Away we go.
So let's talk degrees of freedom, the 12D body of stones, plants, animals, humans, spirits, and tools. So I just put a little reminder of what the 12 dimensions are, and this is the 12 dimensions on a polar scale. Okay? So for a stone, you would be mostly in X, Y, Z, physical dimensions, no intention, no thoughts. You understand that? Okay? An animal, a plant, sorry, first. A plant would start to come into causality and scale. An animal would have much more into the attention, present focus, a little bit of intention, no horizon really. It can move into space. It can use causality, a little bit of experience, no really agency. You understand the graph? Yeah. A human now. A human has little space wandering possibilities, but a lot of causality, experience, and agency. A little bit of scalar. Attention, intention, horizon are very high. Thought time and thought scalar are very high. Now a fun one. A spirit has absolutely nothing on the physical side, but can connect through the other dimensions in this model. So because we are also here, that explains how we can connect with spirits that are not at all in the physical realm. ChatGPT. Attention is all you need. I don't know if you read this paper. That was the foundational paper that created ChatGPT, was called Attention is what you need. Attention is what you need. Anyway, but it has also a little bit of thought time and thought scalar. And a very little bit of causality because it has a kind of memory, but it's not a real memory. But the real, so if you want to map them all together, you get something like that with different capacities. But the real one I want to show you is human with tools. Human augmented with tools. With tools, we can go in every physical dimension because we have planes on cars and so on. We can go into different scales because we have microscopes, for instance. So human with tools is, for me, the future of the development of life. Okay? So the human augmented with tools can reach everything. That's a good pep talk.
But we're also making the graph too, so it's kind of.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Maybe there are 20 dimensions,
Yeah.
but I don't have time for that.
we don't
You know? Okay, another one. Polar bears.
Is AI a tool?
AI is a tool, of course. I've shown ChatGPT. Yeah, it's AI. So human with AI can enhance some of the parts. Okay, but AI alone cannot do a lot of things. So polar bears are improving degrees of freedom and what action BioCoherence can have for you. So this is what a harmonic boost can do, for instance. It can help you in the physical dimensions. It can help you in the thought scalar. and the thought scalar and the physical scalar. So what we call harmonic boosts are the audio frequencies that we computed to make structure resonate, or to bring these structures into specific states that we intend to have. The second modality is guided meditations, and this is for the voice only because we mix the harmonic boost in it. So with the voice only, you don't pull anything into the physical space, but you pull a lot of things in the thought space and the intention, so physical temporal. Okay, causality, experience, agency, scale, attention, intention, horizon, all of this is driven by these guided meditations. The harmonizer, the new product that we have, is mostly a tense, so electrical activity on the body, but you also have a little bit of work on attention, present focus, and physical scalar. But what you mix, when you mix all of that, you get a product that can address everything. And that was my goal with BioCoherence. And I think with this kind of scalar plot, it becomes clear that when you mix all the different modalities that you have with BioCoherence, you address the globality of someone, his 12-dimensional body. Isn't that nice?
Oh, that's great.
Other than cycle time,
Yeah.
is there any way to show depth? In other words, because time, once you get out of 3 dimensions, depth is time, but once you get out of 3 dimension, depth becomes more.
I will think about including this framework maybe more tightly into BioCoherence, so there will be bridges somehow. I don't know if we have still 2 minutes for our next slide, or maybe I do it next year and you will be obliged to come again.
You got to technology will evolve, and he'll just say, okay, go here.
Do we have a next slide or not?
Just a minute, maybe.
Yeah, okay, just a
You
minute.
have to come next year.
Okay, so Annex 2 is God golfs. God golfs. I have to explain very briefly, shaders are a way to compute images. And this is a very simple equation, maybe a little bit complicated than the one before, but this equation creates that, okay? And I just want to quote this, remarching a fractal field at light speed is, I think, what happens in our reality. And shaders, in fact, this little code lives in every pixel of the image, and that's what a shader is. It's a very, very tiny bit of code that lives inside every pixel and renders this pixel in real time when you do games or when you generate images like that. And so the leap of faith I do is that we have shaders at Planck scale in our material reality that renders reality with tiny bit of code like that, and that translates what happens in our thought space and what happens in our reality.
Like the ray tracing is like each little pixel is an eyeball, and
Yes.
recursive 3D, fractality 3D.
So thank you for daring being a human being here and now.